Hey everyone, this is the Into the Future podcast at the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor. Our alma mater states, we're ever thankful for our past, and into the future we will go. That's why on this podcast, we highlight stories of light from our past to bring hope for the future. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Into the Future podcast. Man, I've been so excited for this episode, and I know that you're really going to enjoy it. Did you know that the name of our podcast would not be around unless our guests had not written the lyrics to the alma mater 30 years ago? And so they inspired the name Into the Future, and I'm so happy to have you both. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much.
So before we get started, let's learn a little more about our guests. Kori earned her Bachelor's of Science in Mathematics and Physical Education while here on campus. She was involved in FCA, was a class officer, was on the homecoming court, and was crowned homecoming queen. She played women's volleyball and is a recipient of the President's Award for Meritorious Service. She is the class of 1994. Heath earned his Bachelor's of Music at UMHB and a Master's of Art in Religion. He then went on to get his doctorate degree from Southwestern Seminary. While on campus, he was the homecoming king, a class officer, the chapel worship leader, an intern at First Baptist Belton. He was also a part of the Crusader Leadership Training Conference, choir, and was on the football team. He was a recipient of the Loyalty Cup Award and was a part of the class of 1996. I have some very prestigious guests in my presence today. Reading through those, I was just so impressed with both of you and your time here on campus. We always start with talking about your time on campus because our alma mater, which you wrote, states that we're ever thankful for our past. Could you guys talk about the day that you got a call from Dr. Bauckham? I'll just let you run with that.
Go right ahead, Heath.
Well, it was amazing. I was in music history course with Mrs. Bundick, and an ambassador came in and said, "Hey, you're needed immediately in the president's office." And I'm thinking, this is what have I done? I mean, I was not ready for that. Had never seen anyone leave class before. So we're then walking across the quad, and it's just me and the ambassador, and they will not tell me why we're going. And I'm full of angst. I'm thinking, what are we doing? And then I see Kori, and I thought, everything's okay.
We did get a note in class, or we got pulled out of class to go to Dr. Baukham's office, a place we had not been to before. We did not usually frequent the president's office. It was in a place we hung out. So to get a call to go there and to not know why was interesting. And for the two of us to be there was also a question. I mean, we saw each other and we knew each other on campus, but it's not like we did the same things. It's not like we were involved in the same thing. So it was really strange to be there together.
But what I remember too was thinking, I'm okay because they like Kori. And so I knew everything was going to be good. Me, maybe not, but Kori. And it was really a cool moment, to be honest.
It was. Dr. Bauckham was so gracious to us. And when we came in, he let us sit down, and we were still on the edge of our seats, literally, just wondering what this was all about. And he handed us folders, actually, of historical songs, songs from Mary Hardin-Baylor history, Up with the Purple and Sling into Ink, and don't ask me how to spell it, but old songs that we had sung a lot over time for different purposes and different reasons. And so it was a starting place. And he said, this is what we have, but we don't have an alma mater. We don't have a school song. And so we need one. Right. And his question was, can you take these things and the history that we have up to this point, and can you put some words together to go forward? I was very thankful he didn't ask us to do the music.
No, not. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too. That would have been way too much.
Yes.
Whew. But in that moment, to walk out of his office and knowing this is University of Mary Hardin-Baylor, we were founded in 1845. We don't have an alma mater, and immediately taking that information and trying to digest it. I mean, we just walked slowly back, and I don't know about you, but I would just remember this incredible weight of this has got to be good. This has to represent who we are, who we were, and who we're going to be. And we began to pray. We began to pray before we took that information, but we began to pray about what that would look like when we actually began to write it. And I will be honest with you, I don't think I slept very well until we actually sat down and wrote the song. I was so overwhelmed by the responsibility.
Yeah, because what do those words look like? I mean, when you don't have anything, what do you start with? And so we started with the things that were most important to us, the things that we loved about Mary Hardin-Baylor. And part of that was tradition, and the things that we had inherited from previous generations behind us. But what we also liked is Mary Hardin-Baylor's push to, what does God want you to do from here? This is not a place where you stop. This is a place where God's calling you to something else. And what does that look like? And so the two things together are things that we wanted to capture in that, but trying to find the words to do that, and words that would mean just as much to everybody else as they did to us, when everybody's experience is not the same. And so what does that look like in that context? And so it was a daunting task. And we were for sure he picked the wrong people. Because there were far more capable people on this campus than us. Well, than me. I'm sure you were very capable.
No. And I said this earlier, and I meant it. Kori was our anchor in that I knew, okay, Dr. Balcom has asked us to do this. This is going to be important. He obviously trusts us. He obviously believes in us. So, but I'm glad Kori's here because, she can put words together in a way that makes sense. She's a wordsmith. That's what she does. And so, that whole culmination on the steps of Rimshel, Rimshel was brand new. Matter of fact, when we both got here, there was a space between, Presser, and then there was nothing there. And then now Rimshel's. So we wanted to capture new by writing it on that which was new, realizing that one day it would be old.
It would,
like now. And
like
so here we are, and that's where into the future we will go. Is that we have to be forward thinking as a university. This is not a song just about our past. This is about those that are going to build upon for years and years to come, even now. And so I agree with you. That was a pretty incredible moment.
It was.
That's awesome. I know that I get to be part of Circle of Songs each year at Charter Day celebration. And so I know it is so sweet. And to watch everyone get together and sing those traditional songs that they did outside of Hardy on Sunday afternoons, they cry, I'm crying. And so when I thought about that, you guys wrote a brand new song, that was daunting, like you were saying. And so how did you figure out these are the lyrics? There's so many other lyrics that mean so many other things or so much to other people. How did you figure out these are the ones we want to write?
Well, I wish I could tell you we had some formula.
Yes.
But we did not.
Or that we were super smart.
No. Or that we were even super spiritual. We
right.
sat down and the only way I can say is it's a song of phrases. Each phrase is a picture of Mary Hardin-Baylor. And this is as honest as it is. One of us began with Dear Mary Hardin-Baylor, and then the next part was written by the very next person. And I'm so thankful too that Kori would write for us, because then you could read it. It was legible. Because if Heath did it, we would still wonder what words were meant. And so, but it really was it was a culmination of what we saw as we sat at Rimshel and looked out at Walton Chapel and the quad and the ruins and said, what does this place mean? And what will it mean? And that's where it began. It's a song of phrases.
It is. And it's a story. It's kind of a story from us to them, as you start with the deer, it's a place that held a special place for us. It's a place where the Lord did a magnificent work in me. And I'm assuming probably in you too, in this season of my life. And so the opportunity to thank the place where God moved in our lives and the impact that this place had on us, and then to provide words for others down the road. I think my most intimidating part of it was alumni, which we are now, right? But we all have our experience at Hardin-Baylor were different. Like coming back to campus, things look different. I can't park in the same places I used to. Buildings look different. All of the different pieces to it, and sometimes we hold on to the things that are most important to us, whether they're important in the grand scheme of things or not. And a new song and a different song can be. Not all alumni love change, and so a new alma mater, when we have all these historic songs, was a big difference for an alumni group. But it took us about 45 minutes on the steps of Remschel, and we looked at each other and we're like, it can't be this easy.
I know.
It can't.
I know. And to go back to what she said about change is that, alumni, when we went to school, would come to Robing Chapel. Mm-hmm. And like, if you were not a junior or senior singing the song, they were never rude, but they would let you know, you need to sit down. You are not a junior or senior. And so when we were experiencing this, as part of the wait was, will this be something they will accept? I mean, we're the oldest school in Texas. We are the beacon for Baptist work in Texas, in my opinion. And I thought, this has got to be good. And Kori and I began to write, and literally 45 minutes, we looked at each other and said, that's it.
That's it. We're done.
And we prayed and said, because now we've got to submit it back to Dr. Balcom. How would you like to then walk it back up and go, okay, this is what we have? We thought it was our first draft. Right?
We did. We thought he'd just mark all over it and say, we don't like this, or we need to do this, or, the powers that be. I'm sure it wasn't only him. I'm sure he shared it with others, to get other feedback somewhere along the way. And we thought for sure they'd take it apart and we'd have to start over or redo a number of things. Cause it felt too easy, I think. Cause we loved it. We're like, this is it. Mm-hmm. And, so we were surprised when we got it back. There was maybe a word or two out of the whole thing that he was like, well, maybe if we just said this. And other than that, he didn't mess with it at all. When I was very surprised.
I was too. I was like, we made an A. I know. We didn't even know, But the other thing was the uniqueness of it that were important to us, like the Crusader leads us on, the capital C.
Yes.
That was important because he represents Jesus Christ. That's who he represents to us. And I know that people may not know that, but that is who he was. I mean, we were both Christians. We both were trying to follow the Lord, and we wanted people to know that our university is led by Jesus. That's who we are. And not to over spiritualize things, but when the capital C stayed and Dr. Balcom loved it, I thought, oh, we've won. Because I thought, oh, it's just going to look, something's going to be changed that we thought would be important. We'd have to fight for. And nothing. It's incredible.
It was really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was wild.
Wow. I was reading that lyric yesterday and I was thinking about the capital C. And I noticed right before that, you guys wrote with courage, boldness, and loyalty. So I was wondering where those words came from, but in that perspective, now I know, and I've learned something. So thank you for saying that. I feel like it's even more special than it was before. So do you guys have a specific phrase of the song or lyric that just means the most to you? It's your favorite?
Wow. I will be honest with you. I see it in its totality. I know that's a kind of a weak answer to a great question, but I can't pick one because each phrase and each moment is a picture in my mind and a picture of what we accomplished there in that moment that literally the Lord had to do because it all fits. And so, wow, I wish I could. I often sign things, especially if I'm writing somebody from Hardin-Baylor to you, are purple, white, and gold. And that's just because it's the end. So it's kind of end of a letter again. But that's not any more special than Dear Mary Hardin-Baylor, because without this place in my life, I don't know where I'd be.
I'm with you. The first part is my favorite because this was such a transitional place for me, coming from school, high school and into this place. I found my place mostly my freshman year. But what sealed the deal at Mary Hardin-Baylor was the summer after my freshman year of college. I was working in New Mexico at a conference center for the summer, right? and I got a call from home that my mom had passed away. My dad had lost his job the year before, and so my mom's part-time income was what paid the difference that the scholarships and grants did not cover, because we just didn't have the money. And so without my mom's income, I came home for the funeral and all of those kinds of things, and my dad was like, we don't have it. We don't have the money to send you back to school. And we went to the graveside services for my mom 4 hours away from here. And Glenn Cosper, who worked for the university at the time, the school sent him to the graveside services. And he walked up to us afterward and he looked at my dad and he's like, we'll take care of it from here. And they did. They took care of my room and board. I was an RA. I did have to work for it. I didn't get the room and board for free, but I got a job as an RA. So it took care of room and board. They gave me a book stipend. They gave me a stipend for my school supplies. They let me lay sod on the baseball field to pay the difference sometimes and just put gas in my car. I mean, just crazy jobs that they let me have. But till I graduated, they did. They took care of me, and the way that it changed me when I saw people love me the way that they did and challenge me and see gifts in me in this place that I didn't see in myself. And they called those out and pushed me forward. And it was the people here that by the time I got to my senior year, which is when we wrote it, it was a place that I was leaving different than when I came. And I would not have traded those years or any of those experiences, like all of them, for anything. But the Dear Mary Hardin-Baylor was kind of that. I am grateful for this place, mostly because of the people who have invested in me and the people who have challenged me and the people who have loved me in some really challenging places in life.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so it's a lot, I know, but
no. Well, but you got to see, and everybody else will get to see. This is Kori, and when we wrote this, the depth that it took us to, this place is not just a place where we come and we're going to play Hardin-Simmons tomorrow. I walked around here and took pictures of things I used to take for granted because this place shaped us.
It did.
We are who we are today because of what God did here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully our prayer, and you're sure you're going to ask because this is into the future, but my prayer is that we know what God can do through people and through circumstances and situations and this place that offers a space for those things. And so our prayer is that in writing the alma mater, that there would be generations that would come after us, that would not only come here for an education, but would find the calling that God has for their life and pursue that with their whole heart, whatever that looks like. And thankfully, we both have children that are either here or have gone here and are finding their place and their purpose and where God is taking them. And so our prayer is that has happened thousands and thousands of times over the years since we sat there 30 years ago.
Because it's not a song for us, it's a song for everyone. And the future, that's what we want, is there to be a place for somebody else to leave their mark, a place to find their ministry, to find their calling. We get to work a job, but we have a calling. And part of that calling is what happened during this whole part of Mary Hardin-Baylor and part of writing the alma mater. I will tell you this, is that it was incredible to see the song come together, but it was even more incredible seeing everyone embrace it. That was the other part, that, you write something and then you think it's pretty good. And then, the others could say, and so we're kind of totally vulnerable in that moment. And then when they embraced it, and now watching students today sing it with their own flair, I love it. It's awesome. And that's what it was meant to be. All the little sayings that go alongside the things, I'm like, man, I love that.
So where will we go? And the end, Crusaders hit somebody at the end of the game.
Things that we never
imagined.
Because we thought it was so serious.
Oh yeah, we it had to be dignified. It had to be something. Remember, it had to be something that
we had to hand it to the
president.
Alumni,
right? Yeah. The alumni and the president and the board trustee. Everybody had to be. And then for students today to embrace it and sing it, it's humbling. It's very humbling.
I think at the end of the day, the opportunity to write it was more of a gift to us than a gift to the university, because it gave us a part in the history that we loved.
Yes, and one thing that, Kori and I, we don't get to talk much, but it edged us together in that moment, in our friendship in that moment, and that's been something that's been very special to me because, we get to see this living on beyond us, and it's kind of a cool thing.
It is
that we got to do that.
We're
together.
Stuck together.
We're stuck together.
Yeah.
And that's a
Lord
pretty cool
help
thing.
you.
No, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
I pray for you all the
time.
time.
Hey, listen, and I pray for you, especially, hurricanes and all the things you've been through.
Fun things.
Oh, wow. But that's the beauty of this, is that really is Mary Hardin-Baylor. Is that song typifies to us what this place means and what it will continue to mean for hopefully our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Because I'd like to live long enough to see some other ones come and experience what we did.
That's great. Yeah, tomorrow you guys are going to get to go out on the football field and be a part of the coin toss. And then you'll hear the alma mater sung in the stadium. What does that mean to you when you hear a crowd of people singing the song you wrote?
Well, well, we laugh because we're like, hopefully we remembered the words.
Yes.
So that would be super great.
Yes.
Because it's like singing the Star Spangled Banner. You know all the words, but then you put them in front, and then everybody looks at you and you're like,
here we go.
Dear Jesus.
Yes.
I really hope I remember. But tomorrow it'll be fun. My daughter's a freshman now, and she has been more excited about it than I have. Just the connection, I think, that gives the two of us. And so it's fun for the whole group, but it's fun to see her start to find herself and to start to find her purpose and her gifts in this place too. And she is starting to love it like I did, but it's fun because it's a very different experience for her, than it was for me. But I think that will be my favorite part. It's a little intimidating when everybody sings the song, but they'll probably have the words on a program or something, right?
Yeah, right.
Or on the screen, maybe.
Absolutely. It's some form. We'll just go for it. We wrote it, right? We'll just go for it. But the other side of that is that it overwhelms me, and we talked about that even when we all laughed. But I cannot sing it without crying because of what Kori has said and what it means to me personally is that it tells a story of a time when I'm just a kid from a small East Texas town, and I was given an opportunity to do something that really honestly was usually done hundreds of years before you even show up, and yet we got to do that. And so it's also a chance for us to say thank you to our university for what it means to us. And so I will cry through the whole thing. And my family will look at me, and my daughter will sing right there, and she'll put her arm around me, and she'll put her C in the air, and I'll cry because it means that much to me. I don't cry because, I wrote this, it's nostalgia. No, every word of it, we mean every word of it. And it's just that special to be part of this family.
Yeah. Good job.
Come on now.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We practiced for like 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yes, it does.
Well, before we get to our final question, is there anything else you'd like to share about UMHB or writing the alma mater?
I would just like to say, Mary Hardin-Baylor, what it means to me. I grew as a person. I grew as a Christian. I was challenged here by professors that loved me, but they didn't let me just slide by. And I believe what I'm doing today is because of the nurture and the care and the discipleship I received here, and friendships. I mean, being able to be shaped by people who love Jesus and be around them, and it's been pretty impressive. So I love this place. And when I was able to come to homecoming, my wife will tell you it's like Disney World for me. I mean, I'd much rather come here than Disney World, because I proposed to her right out here, and yeah, and so.
Do you have a picture?
I don't. I don't. It was at night, and I did a Bible study. It was very lame the way I did it. Don't ever do it the way I did. I went to this whole Bible study on love, and it was bad, Kori. It was so bad. I am not a romantic. And she was like, Are you doing? I think you're doing. Yes, I am. And here we went. So,
well, she's still here. So.
Amen. She is. She's still here, and I couldn't do it without her. Absolutely. But
and you don't have to ever do it again.
No.
So
Amen. Yes. So.
Was it right outside the chapel?
It was just right across the ruins. It was on the other side in a swing that's no longer there. But yeah, it was right there. So very, very special.
They should have totally given you the swing one.
I wish. I wish I was a little heartbroken when I came back. Went, no, the swing is gone. Yeah.
The only thing I would challenge the current students and those who are considering, where their kids are going to go to school and stuff. Academics is a really great thing, and Hardin-Baylor has a great reputation for such things. But my prayer for our kids, and hopefully for others that come through the halls of Hardin-Baylor, they find their purpose, and they seek out not just an academic environment or just some intellectual learning, which are always good things, but they seek out what God has for them in this place. And for everybody, it looks different. I mean, you even read our bios, and the things that we did here were not the same. We chose different things. We found the strengths that we had, the gifts that we had. We learned to use them in ways that we never would have expected. I mean, when I started at Hardin-Baylor, I didn't talk to anybody unless they talked to me first. Now, you could put me in front of a whole group, and I could do that, but that whole one-on-one interaction, I'm like, no. But, my senior year, I was our class president my senior year, things that I would have never imagined doing, things that I would have never stepped into if somebody hadn't said, I see these things in you, Kori, and you need to consider where God might be using those, and or where he's calling you to use those. So my prayer is that the current students and those who follow after in these next generations will not just seek an education, but will seek out God's purpose for their life, and then they go forward and just live it with their whole heart wherever that takes them. And I'm sure Heath will tell you, when we left here, I had a plan that the last 30 years have not looked anything like I would have anticipated them, but I wouldn't trade any of it because God's plan was way better than mine. So hopefully they do the same.
Amen. I agree. I made an 18 on my ACT. I got into Hardin-Baylor by the skin of my teeth.
You're not supposed to tell all those things.
The bottom line is that I was told in high school, hey, you probably need to take another route. It was Hardin-Baylor and the people here that showed me that it was much more than academics, but that academics are important, but it's all about calling. And the people that shaped us in that time period, I'm forever indebted to and grateful for because of who they are in my life. So
dorm directors,
BCM,
staff, it wasn't just our teachers.
I mean, wow. Yeah. Our churches that shaped us, that took in people and said, hey, come follow me, come see what God's doing. And so I'm very thankful for that. And I was going to be a music man. That's what I was going to do. Yeah. No, I was never going to preach ever. Oh, how God changes things. Yeah, it has. It worked out for all of 3 years. So God has a way of taking this and preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine.
That's right.
That's Hardin-Baylor.
Wow. And that captures into the future. So I have to wrap up. We wrap up the same way every time. And I'm so grateful you guys talked about it's not just here, it's what Hardin-Baylor prepares you to do and how it shapes you and shapes your faith. And then you go out into the world and you follow God's calling for your life. So what gives you guys hope for the future?
Here in Hardin-Baylor, that context comes in the faces of, well, I would call them kids now. I wouldn't have called myself a kid when I was here because I was totally an adult. But because one of them's mine, but in their faces when, especially when my daughter, when she calls me and tells me about worship on Wednesday night or what life group looked like on Sunday, or, and seeing her faith start to, she's had faith for a long time, but when she steps out from under the roof of our home and it starts to be her own, and she starts to figure out what that looks like. And that gives me hope for the future, because it means God's still moving, and His presence and His movement is always the place to show up, and it's always it means we're still doing the right thing. The day Jesus says deuce to this earth, and I'm going with them. I'm totally not staying. So as long as He's still moving, and to see glimpses of that, and the voices and the faces of the students that are here is such a gift and an encouragement.
As one who just recently had a daughter graduate from here, my wife and I, just seeing her grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus and loving others, and now in a profession where it brought her back here to help and serve and minister to people, and to see her faith blossom and connected and involved in her church and small group, and then also, helping others. It just, that's what makes this place into the future, makes it special. So we get excited about that. And I think that's the vision and the goal of Hardin-Baylor, is to produce people that live Jesus out there, what we've learned in here.
Yeah, God's not finished with this place yet. And we're
agree.
Just a little, very small piece of its history, and grateful that God put us in this place 30 years ago. Yeah.
Unbelievably grateful. Wow.
Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this podcast and talking about the lyrics you wrote. I know that song means a lot to me, and so it's been super fun to sit down with you guys and get to chat about the lyrics, but chat about Mary Hardin-Baylor and ultimately how we can all give glory to God. So thanks again, you guys. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we will catch you soon. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Into the Future. We desire that you walk away with encouragement from the stories of hope that you heard today. As you go into your day, remember that the world needs you. You matter, and God cares. As Romans 15:13 says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit.